According to the FBI, Americans lost over $3.4 billion to financial fraud scams in 2023, a 14% increase from the year before, and that's just for the over 60 age set. And let me tell you something, folks, you ain't seen nothing yet. There is no question but that we are heading into difficult financial times. Difficult is going to be an understatement when the crisis that's coming really starts to unfold. I want you to think about your own experience of calling a bank to deal with the problem or calling a financial institution because some charge is wrong or something like that. And then understand what's going to happen when the stock market starts crashing, and then put this in the context of trying to help mom or dad or grandma. Now, one of the biggest problems that we have for the over 60 set, for the people that are trying to protect them and care for them, is their secrecy. Because of the stoic generation, I call them, there are many reasons why they prefer to keep all of their information private, not disclosed to kids, other family members, trusted. So we've had people die that family members were completely unaware of the size of their estate. And that kind of oversight is terribly, terribly risky in any kind of economy, but particularly one in this crashing economy. Now, one of the tools that we've implemented and gained access to address and speak to this very real problem is a piece of software, a database that we become licensed on that allows me to access stock accounts, bank accounts, insurance information, insurance policies, retirement accounts, federal accounts, really unique piece of information and access to information that really speaks to this whole larger problem. And again, the reason why I went through the process getting that done is because I was seeing over and over again that, mom, dad lived down here. Everyone knew they were successful. They lived a great life. Dad was successful, retired with lots of money. Kids in other parts of the state, great relationships with them. Kids in other part of the country, great relationships with them. But dad never sat down with the trusted kid or the trusted kids and said, hey, dude, here's where the accounts are and here's what the money is. And then some tragedy happens, particularly the quick death. Maybe mom, dad both die in a car accident or something like that. And the kids are left scrambling, trying to put Humpty Dumpty back together again and find out where all that information is. So the warning here to everyone, this sort of public service message is, mom, dad, stoic generation, if you want to preserve your secrecy, your privacy, that's all perfectly permissible. But you got to make sure that there are trusted contacts, fiduciary contacts on your account so that when the unthinkable happens, death, or when mom, dad, you start to slip and slide mentally, capacity starts to get a little bit shaky, there is someone that you trust that understands your full financial picture. Multiple people, as an example, because, again, I got examples that come to mind, one right after the other, where mom or dad has put all of the trust into one fiduciary, financial advisor. And then lo and behold, when things get shaky, the financial advisor starts moving away with the money. And there's a whole series that we can talk about what financial advisors are trusted, where the regulations in place. Typically the bigger houses that are regulated by FINRA and other licensing agencies fairly well can be trusted because they have all kinds of oversight and layers above them. But even those cases are not absolute. And again, particularly when the crisis comes, even in those examples, I've got real concerns about what happens to those large accounts with all that money when everything's going down the tubes, on the one hand. But on the other hand, we've got all these other more sketchy financial vehicles that are not as regulated, do not have the kind of supervision and oversight as the big boys and girls do. I'm thinking of, Bitcoin accounts and things like that. I'm thinking of investment clubs that some of our elders are involved in. But then just, your run-of-the-mill stock accounts. Maybe dad's playing on Robinhood or somewhere like that, and you're not aware of where that is, but his buddy who has access to the account is able to go in and swipe that after he dies. So the public service message here is understanding this, becoming aware of this. And even if dad is stoic and private, alerting him to what happens, alerting him to what I see when something happens to dad, something happens to mom, and poof, it's all gone. Having that trusted fiduciary capacity, and frankly having a couple different ones in place and ready to take a hold when things go wrong. So the opening boast here was this financial crisis concept, or the idea of a hurricane hitting. And what I really want people to think about is what's going to happen when the stock market crashes. It's going to happen. There's no question. The question is merely how bad is it going to be? And then what happens when the kind of panic starts to set in? And I preface that conversation with asking you to think about what happens when, your credit card's lost, your bank accounts are locked out, and you're trying to call the bank and you're on hold for an hour or whatever else like that. That's with sort of a normal volume. When the crash happens and the volume of calls and crisis kind of heats a fever pitch, then you're really going to see panic start to set in. And people not being able to get a hold of these accounts, not being able to liquidate them, is going to cause a massive problem. So think about these concepts, and as you watch the news and you're talking with mom and dad about what's happening, and you're looking at that stock market doing this, and you're using your brain, and you know that this is not sustainable, and even you're looking at the reasons why it's going up and understanding that the mere fact that it's going up is a symptom that something is wrong and that bad stuff has happened, and when it crashes down, where do you want to be? There's no question that mom and dad and you want your money somewhere where you can get a hold of them. So get that trusted fiduciary contact in place. We're going to give you a toolbox here about how you put trusted fiduciary in place in a way that preserves and protects mom and dad's privacy, how you engage in the conversation with a mom and dad that alert them to these things, and importantly, gives you the tools to step in when there's either a catastrophic crisis for mom and dad, or they start to slip and have some capacity issues that need your input and guidance.